Oh, now I'm supposed to do that. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're live now.
Yes. Oh, now I'm supposed to do that. Okay.
Open your window browser at the bottom so you can pause the video and we don't hear each other. Yeah, I think we're live now.
Yes. Oh.
Open your window browser at the bottom so you can pause the video and we don't hear each other. I think we're live now. Yes. Yeah, can you see? Open the different window browser that opened up. And when you open that, you're gonna see basically the video going on. So what you're gonna do is click pause. Pause on the video.
I post the video on, a ver. Okay,
Yeah, I think
I just post the video on the
browser.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then we won't be able to hear each other anymore because that would usually happen if you don't log out of that page, right? Once you click, you want it to go live.
Okay, this is great. Okay, so for the ones that are looking at this, I want to offer an apology. This is the first time that we are broadcasting live. So I first of all, I want to welcome Robert. Robert, I would love that you can introduce yourself to the rest of my audience.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you. My name is Robert. My full name is Roberto Carlos Dominguez. I am an English teacher and I am in Uruapan, Michoacán, Mexico. And I've been having the pleasure of teaching Fed for the past year and so. And during this period, we have found something a little bit more than a student-teacher kind of relationship, but more of a friendly relationship due to various facts of understanding many different topics, going from business to pleasure to a little bit of magical and experiences. And that's something that's going to happen, I guess, within this podcast or within this chat. And the idea is for people to, one, practice their English, or just, talk about the things that are important now in life, whether it's health, whether it's a little bit about brain status and NFTs and cryptocurrency and whatever, whatever's going on in people's minds right now with all that. And, the idea is to invite all kinds of people. And I think this podcast could be a little bit about breaking taboos, talking about the things that nobody wants to talk about and bringing them out to light. A lot of times we have a lot of ideas and things we want to share, but we have no one to talk to about. So I guess we could do that.
Okay, that's
Thank
great.
you, Fred.
So after that, well, I want to talk a little bit about myself. So I've been studying several subjects in which one most of them are related to personal development, businesses, and for sure the products industry. So what I want to talk about, Robert, is like what's happening, like how are now we living after this post-pandemic? Well, we know that it is not over, but the thing is that in general, what I have noticed is that most of the people has experienced some kind of depression, loneliness, or lack of energy. And I would love to focus on the lack of energy. And I think that I'm not talking about batteries or electricity. I'm talking about like the energy that everybody has inside of them. So what have you noticed, like in general, after like 2 years of lockdown? What are your thoughts on that? What do you think that people is experiencing right now?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I have noticed that people, you're right, the loss of energy overall. I think this has brought many problems, not just for the people that got sick or got the COVID or that got family infected by the COVID, but in overall, I think it's a stressful situation, worldwide. This is something that we experienced for the first time as a generation because we have never had a world pandemic. We had other illnesses that had happened around the world, but something that affect us worldwide. And I think it's something that it's going to affect us a little bit more than a usual, a usual sickness or illness that it might affect a group of people at a time. But now that we are being affected in a worldwide sense, I think this has added to the global stress, to the global stress. And when we have stress, it comes a lot of other illnesses with it. One of them, depression. Another one will be, just feeling tired all the time, or maybe not even wanting to do anything. Maybe you have the energy, but you don't know where to focus that energy at. I don't know if this happens to any of, or some of you that say, yeah, I have the energy, I could get up and I this, but now I don't have the motivation to do something because, I have to wear a face mask everywhere, or I have to do this, or, the people in this place are just stress themselves. So I think most of that energy loss is due to that, due to the universal stress that we have been feeling. And yeah, I think that a lot of our nutritional habits have changed as well, with the pandemic. A lot of the things that we're eating, a lot of the things that we're drinking, they're not necessarily they're not the finest products that we get, and I think it's all within, the era of what we got to, experience as a generation.
That's totally true. So I think that you mentioned like three very interesting things that we need to mention. One is like the general feeling of depression. That's one of them. Second will be like the lack of motivation, and the third one is like uh, um like all the habits related to the food that we are taking. So I want to start first with the depression. And depression is basically formed because this is a mental state. So this is a mental state in which most of the people has the lack of excitement in their life. And this is great because this is the first time that I'm going to start talking about this in English. So emotions come from motion. So your feelings are related to how much you move. So I think that one of the main impacts of the pandemic is like most of us were like sitting in front of the desk, in front of a computer, or laying down in bed. So this lack of movement has affected us in such way that we start feeling like depressed. Why? Because what's the sign of life is movement. So if you don't move, you start feeling like you are dying in some way. So I think that because of this relationship, we need to start moving, doing exercises, doing things out of home, just know that you can start feeling better. So the thing is that if you keep locked down in your house, like experiencing fear and depression, your life is going to be like that because you are not moving, you are not changing your habits. And this is like a cause and effect situation, because if you don't move, you're going to still be depressed. If you keep like in lockdown in four walls, your life is going to feel like miserable. It's like if you were in jail. So I think that this is like super related. And the other one, it's like you talk about motivation, the lack of motivation. And the thing is that at some point, I think that we lose the sight, like, oh, this is the worst thing ever, when it is not. And it is an opportunity, like, to hold your horses and say, like, hey, I need to recap and think about, I don't like what I'm doing. Or best case scenario is like, okay, now it's time to get better, to achieve what I was looking for, because you have more time and you have these extra challenges, because people usually mention that those are problems. And the thing is that life is packed with problems. No matter, like, if you live in Alaska, or if you live in Mexico, or if you live in China, you will find problems all the time. Because the thing is that the nature of the problems is not to become only an obstacle. It's the meaning of experiencing that kind of troubles is like you can overcome them and learn from them. And I just remember that one of my mentors mentioned, like, if you don't want to experience any kind of problems, you may need to look to live in another planet, because in planet Earth, you are going to be packed with problems. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. I think that movement and energy wise, I think it's very important that people get themselves moving. Moving everything around. The thing that it's like a triangle. I don't know if for example, like if you don't have sometimes the motivation to move, this is the thing, like, yeah, if people, I guess, would love to go out and jog and have fun and do exercise and stuff like that, but because for the same reason they have lost the motivation to go out and do that. What would you recommend for the people to do that they don't exactly have that motivation to go out and move around? Because a lot of people say, yeah, I know that if I do exercise I feel better, but the thing is I don't have the motivation to go out and do exercise, and break this cycle, because I guess it's like a little triangle. I guess it's like a little triangle that, yeah, if you have this, you have this, and you have this, right? And it's all overall. But I think what we will have to focus first, and how do we get to the point of breaking that, motivational, because, yeah, we know that through exercise we will start feeling better. We will start feeling, I guess, a little bit more energy. Even though you lose energy, you gain another type of energy and mental stability and stuff. But how do you tackle first that motivational part? What can get you motivated enough to get you moving again?
Well, let's start with something simple, and as an example. So let's think that you gain a lot of weight during this pandemic, and I think that in some cases you get
Yeah.
people that are like super fit, the best body shape ever they had in their life, and we have the other side, the one that we get anxious and we got to eat most of the time just in order to calm down or reduce this kind of anxiety. So the thing is that if you don't know why you want to lose weight, like I'm meaning, like the result will be like to lose weight, but the thing is that what's the purpose of that? So if you don't have like clarity on that, it's going to be like really difficult, because the thing is that first of all you need to be like disturbed with the results, and you are going to mention right now, fair, I don't want to feel disturbed, but the thing is that unless that you feel like super uncomfortable with the current situation, the change, you are not going to be forced to change. So you're going to experience like to change like the should into a must. I must lose weight because, and this is the real purpose of that, because I want to feel better, because I deserve a better life, because I want to be attractive, or to make it more meaningful, because I know that if I remain the same, I'm going to lose like my health, and I'm going to be like limited to do a lot of stuff. If you want to make it harder, if you have sons, it's like, because I just want them to have a dad the longer for an extended period of time, and I can enjoy being with them by their side. When you start thinking about that, something happened in your mind. That's when you are like having an experience like what I'm doing. Because the thing is that we think that we're going to last forever and that we have time. And the reality is that we don't have time. So once that you make that like super uncomfortable, it is like, well, I just have a few pounds. No, it's easy to jump you rather than go around you, because you are too fat. You look like really bad. When you realize about that, now you start feeling like super uncomfortable, and you need to use that momentum from being really, really, really upset about the current situation and use that just in order to move forward. And in order to keep focus on what you are looking for, you need to start looking for pleasure on that. Instead of thinking like, oh, I need to start a diet, I need to start drinking green juices instead of beer, or I need to start like doing push-ups or working out. You need to start thinking in the other way. Oh, my clothes are going to fit it again. I'm going to look attractive. I'm going to project better energy. I'm going to be promoted. Because the thing is that I was shocked when I just read some report from Harvard Business News, Harvard's Business Review, and they were mentioned about like people who has overweight has less opportunities to be successful on businesses. So that's a sad truth, but the thing is that the world works like that. So you're basically, you're going to represent or project the image of a company. And if your image is misaligned with that, you're going to lose a lot of opportunities. So after mentioning that, when I mentioned like, hey, Robert, you need to lose weight, that makes more sense. Like, oh, I just want to lose like 5 pounds or 15 pounds. So that's when you start getting the real meaning of what you are looking for. That would be my recommendation and advice for anybody who is looking to have different kind of results.
Yeah, I think they're very good. Once you set goals, then you have a little bit of motivation to resolve those goals, right? Instead of you just doing things for the heck of it. No, we say in English, if you just do things for the heck of it, you might lose your ground, you might lose the reason why. But if you have very clear goals of what you want to achieve and what you want to focus on, I think that's the main goal. To set goals will be, a very good answer to that. So yeah, thank you for sharing those points of view. I think it will be helpful to some people that might be going through this stressful time and might not know how to get over it, or might not have to get motivation. So if you're out there and you're listening to this, you know that one of those things that you can do to get motivated is to create a list, or maybe even like, some of the things that you would like to achieve, either in the short period of time or in the long period of time. That way you could maybe create like a little chart, create a little chart of how many pounds you're supposed to lose, this week, or how many pounds you're supposed to be. And we love challenges. I think as a human race, we're always working, we're always fighting against something. And if we have ourselves as a motivational tool, we can even do this with a family member. I don't know if a lot of you out there, if you have a challenge or you have somebody to do this with, it makes the task a little bit easier. A lot of you guys are married. There was a lot of marriage problems during this season. A lot of them because they were together too much. A lot of them were separated. But I guess if we work on something together with someone else, it's just like an impulse, no? I think it will help us an impulse to create as achievement. And you could use this like a leverage. You could use this as a leverage to help you, resolve your own goals. We are a very competitive species, and I think through this competitive, we could find that motivation. I don't know if you agree, if by getting some kind of help, not only professional help, if your depression is too bad, or if your motivation levels are too down, but getting a friend, I don't know if you ever heard of the study of a friend of a friend. Have you ever heard of that study?
No.
About happiness. Is called, it was a study done, I guess, like in the 1970s or 80s. I'll share it with you later. And it's the study about how happy are people, even just, for example, if your neighbor is your friend, you will be a lot happier than if your neighbor was not your friend. And how happier you would be, even if people are close by to you or related to your friends or have some connection with your friends. So the more friends you make, the happier you can be. And this is something that is actually proven. And how happy your friends are, it also influences a lot. So you guys should really focus on, or if you're feeling too depressed, you got to start looking not only in yourself, but also in the people that you're hanging out with. What kind of chemistry are they sharing with you? Because if you are surrounded by a bunch of sad people, right, or a bunch of depressed people, then the most likely is that you're going to also be depressed. But if you are surrounded, or you surround yourself by people that are not so depressed or even happy or very joyful, it's going to be even very hard for those people to let you go down in this sadness, or let you go down this path, because they're going to be like, hey, dude, wake up, come on, we need you here, and we need you here with us. So I think it's very important that you also surround yourself by these people.
I 100% agree with what you have already mentioned. And I remember that, well, perhaps like most of the people right now have heard about this, that you are going to become the average of the 5 people that surround you, or that you hang out the most. So something similar to that happens with your energy. So you are the average of the people that you are hanging out the most. So I remember that when I take a look at this exercise, and it is like, just identify, first of all, like, just do that you can do that with a sheet of paper and with a pen, and you can write down the names of the 5 persons that you hang out the most. Then you need to score them, like from 0 to 10 means zero energy. 10 is like they give you 10 of energy, like you feel like refreshed each time that you hang out with them. So once that you identify them and rate them, you make the sum and divide it by 5, and that would be like the average of energy that you experience in your daily life. And this is just shocking, because we have heard, like, we have experienced, especially in Mexico, we have one aunt, one uncle, one brother, one cousin, or one friend of us, even or father or our mother, that can be experiencing some kind of bad issues like in their life. So they are like basically draining all your energy, because they talk only about dead people, sick people, people who are losing money, losing their job, etc. So just talking about that is going to drain your energy, because they are like a black hole for the energy, and they are like sucking all your energy. And if you remain there for a long time, you're going to be affected, and you're going to feel depressed, anxious. Because I love the phrase that this is from Tony Robbins, and he mentioned like, where focus goes, energy flows. And that's, if you start thinking on that, you're going to feel depressed, sick, and bad. But if you are surrounded by people that is willing to share you like good news, they like, hey, do you want to know what I discovered? Do you know what I learned? Do you know what happened to me? I was playing this sport and I win a tournament, or etc. Or I make X amount of money because I was doing this. And if your reaction is like happy about that, you're going to start attracting that kind of energy. And at some point, you're going to be part of that. It is like we have in Mexico, says that they mention like, acércate a la sombra del árbol más grande, al menos te refrescará. And this is related like be closer to the biggest tree because at least you can enjoy their shadow. And this is just great. You're not going to become that tree. Your challenge is to become the biggest tree ever. And this is just awesome, just in order to think like, how much is the height of a tree? And I'm asking you that, Robert. What do you say? How much are they allowed to grow?
Yeah, I think the trees are they will grow until they can. No, I don't think they have a limit. I don't think they have a limit of growth. I think they, being from California and being a long time, the sequoia trees that are there in Yosemite Park, they're some of the biggest trees in the world. And a lot of you, if you haven't visited there, you will be amazed by the size of the trees that grow around there, right? And that have been there for centuries and maybe even longer, just trees that are a million and so years old, right? That 5 or 10 people can wrap their arms around them and get it. So yeah, I think you're right. I think, seeing yourself as this tree that has no limits of growth, I think it's very important. And who you surround yourself is definitely important.
And we're talking just about a tree. So imagine the potential that it is locked inside every human being. So you are not supposed to be like at this level. You can surpass it and keep growing and growing. So the main force that it is inside of you that can determine that is like your will, and that you need to have some goals. So if you don't have goals, it's going to be like really hard to, first of all, to find a way, a second to start growing on that, because that's part of life. So the thing is that we don't like problems, but we love challenges. So that's why we love sports. You mentioned that, like challenges. So the thing is that you need to start thinking and get rid of the thoughts that you're a victim. Oh, poor of me. Life is punishing me. Is life punishing you? Or if life challenging you? Or if life is looking for you to find a way that get out of that place. So unless that you have like this pressure, it is not the same to enter into a jacuzzi when the water is hot that to enter into a place where the water is boiling. Nobody's going to jump into that place, right?
Right.
So the thing is that unless that you start feeling like super uncomfortable, you will be forced to change. And that's what we need to look in our life. It is like, because there's a lot of people that love to complain, but I just remembered a story that somebody told me, and this was about a super, super lazy dog. And it was like the typical dog at the mamas and papa shops, and it was at the front door, and he was always like barking, and all the customers were asking to the owner, "What's wrong with your dog?" And the owner was explaining this. Oh, the thing is that the place where the dog is lying down, there's a nail. So basically, the nail is uncomfortable enough to make the dog to bark, but not enough to make the dog to move to a different spot. And basically, sometimes this is like a great analogy that we as human beings experience at some point when people feel uncomfortable and they are only complaining, but they are not like forced to change. But what happens is somebody add more weight and start pushing your body against the nail. The pain will be so strong that you're going to be like forced to move to another spot. So basically, that's like a good analogy, just in order to think about like, what are you experiencing in your life? Are you experiencing moments in which like you only want to complain? Or Are you being challenged? And you need to learn the hidden lesson that it is behind that challenge. And I guess that in the meantime that we learn the lesson, we are going to experience some kind of pain, some kind of uncomfort. But the thing is that unless that we decide that to take actions, the situation is not going to change. And the thing is that that's like the magical thinking about that at some point, somebody's going to come to your life and is going to solve all your problems. And we know that these are only fairy tales and nobody's coming to say like, hey, Robert, you need to study more. Hey, Robert, you need to become an entrepreneur. Hey, Robert, you need to be wiser because you're screwing it up. So unless that you assume the responsibility, nothing's going to happen. And I always tell some of my customers, like, if you want to find who's responsible to make all those changes, just ask the people that it is in front of the mirror. And that's the one who's going to give you the answers. And that's the one who's going to change your life. So don't wait for the beautiful prince to come to you, to knock to your door. Don't wait for the Cinderellas or the magical princess that are going to be like super rich and they are going to tell you that I'm going to change your life forever, because that's not going to happen. Things change when you change. Otherwise, it will remain the same. But I think that that's what I think, and those are like the things that have given me results and have helped me to help others to change their life.
I think you couldn't have said it any better. I think it's a very good conclusion of the idea that we want to get to. I appreciate the analogies that you share with us, and some of the points, some of the reference points that you have gotten are very important. Are very important for this. And for those who are watching us out there, this is our first podcast that we're doing together as a conversation. If you have topics that you would like us to talk about, or if you have topics that you would like us to dig deeper into, this would be a great space for us to, talk about, to get those ideas flowing, to get your comments. If you have any comments, please let us know. The idea is to grow in this channel and to access a little bit more knowledge about all the types of topics. We have no taboos here. We will talk basically about anything and anything that will help us grow, as a society, as people, and to just get different ideas. Fernando is a very knowledgeable person, and he could share a lot of his ideas. He has a lot of natural gifts that you cannot learn by going to a school. It's just something that he knows. It's just something that he is, and we should take advantage of that. We should take advantage of that. And if you are going through something and you want to find some answers, you want to find some clarity, where it is spiritual, whether it's financial, whether it's business focused, then we could try to help you. We could try to help you and find some of the things that we have been talking about. And I'm telling you this because we have been sharing all these ideas to ourselves, and we feel a little bit greedy that we have come up with some very good ideas in the past year or so, and every time we have gotten a lot more success with the ideas and the coming up with all these. So it would be greedy for us not to share these ideas, not to share all these focus and know the answers to a lot of questions you might be looking for. So if you want to join, we don't want to make it that long. That way, it could be something that you could stick to. That way you could be still interested in. And I don't know if Fed wants to add anything else before I think there was one point that we could finish off with. And it's one of the points that we missed out on was the nutrition,
Oh, yeah.
And if you want to share anything about nutrition before we finish today's topic, I want to start with water. They say that water is life. They say that water is life, but a lot of the people that are out there, a lot of you guys are out there. I don't know if this is something that happens to you, or I don't know if you guys know this. There's a lot of studies that have been done recently, and not only recently, but throughout the years about all the things and all the information that water contains, and some of the things that, or some of the ones that are out there and are drinking bottled water, or now there's a big hype here in where I'm from, Michoacan and Uruapan, that there are little shops that you could go and you buy your water. You could take your container, your water container, you could take it there, and for 10, 12 pesos, you can buy water. Now, I will always recommend that you guys drink water instead of drinking soda, instead of drinking beer, instead of drinking this. But there was a study that I would like to share with everybody about this kind of water, that basically what they do with this water is that they drain all the minerals that come with the water, So what happens with this water that we're drinking that comes in bottled water and things like that is that it's completely drained out of minerals, once they take out all the components that it is. And basically, yes, you're drinking water, but you are drinking demineralized water, right? Yeah, they might take all the dirt, and they might take all the chlorine, and they might take all of this, but at the same time, they are taking away all the minerals and the positive things that water have. And what happens when you drink that water is that when you drink that water, since this water is demineralized, it wants to get mineralized again. So what it does is that once you consume this water, what does it happen? All the minerals in your body start being dragged by this water, right? So if you have minerals inside your body, if you have minerals within you, all these minerals go inside that water. And when you go to the bathroom and you urine, right? Or you go pee, all of that comes out, all of those minerals are coming out with your urine, instead of those minerals staying in, or maybe even more, you mineralizing your water. So I recommend people to find the natural, the most natural way and portion of water that they could find, whether it's from a natural spring, whether it's just, but find the most natural source of water that you can find, so you don't lose all of that. And I will finish with that part and that advice.
That's very interesting, and I totally agree with you. So the thing is that the main challenge is to find alkaline water just in order to make you to feel better. But I also want to mention something related to water, and this is the water included in food and veggies. So I just remember, this is like a super easy advice and easy to follow. And if you want to know what's good for you and what's not good for you, it's really simple. If you need to take it out of the fridge, it's good for you. If you are taking out of the cabinet, that's not good for you. Why? Because fruit and veggies has water, and you're going to take the water, to extract the water from those fruit and veggies, and you're going to feel better. So that's why you feel like super good when you are having fruit and veggies. But if you are taking like cereals, bread, chips, fries, etc., those aren't good for you. At some point, you're going to feel like good because you're going to have a sugar rush. It's going to boost your sugar levels, and then it's going to fall down as fast as that. So the thing is that if you want to feel better, I always recommend to take the greens: lettuce, spinach, celery, cilantro, parsley. All of this is going to help you. Kale is also really good and energetic as well. So these are really good for your body. And if you want to feel better when you get sick, try to drink fresh juice, pineapple juice. That will help you a lot just in order to boost your immune system. So I think that time is out, Robert. So I think that we need to stop here, but I will be happy to follow this conversation on the next chapter.
Sounds great. Sounds good to me. I hope the people enjoy it. and I hope they recommend more topics that they want us to talk about. And if they ever want to join, they could also be a guest on this podcast. So thank you very much, Fer, for sharing, and thank you for inviting me to this. And we're here to talk about all the things that you guys want to talk about. Thank you so much, and remember,
That's
practice your
awesome.
English.
Thanks for your help, Robert, and I'll be happy to have a following discussion with this. Take care,
Awesome.
and
Take care.
for the rest of our viewers, so have a nice day and enjoy your life. Take care.
Yeah.